Chris, Keller Williams, real estate, you've been in the business for some time. If you were to talk to yourself a month before you started in the business, what advice would you give yourself?
I would have definitely told myself to be a little bit more patient. I would have told myself to be a little bit more thorough when it comes to just my daily regime, when it comes to just researching on a daily basis and just getting into better habits.
I see you everywhere on social media. You've been on Facebook, you post consistently. Was it a mentor, or how did you take advantage of social media on that level? Because a lot of people aren't.
I mean, I was pretty blessed with the background of going back as a high schooler. Actually, I went to VOTEC, and which actually required me to cut off a chunk of my electives. What that made me do was actually go into commercial art. I was actually an artist my entire life, but
really?
My guidance counselor at that particular point told me that you could take your art and channel into a different market. And what commercial art is a graphic designing program in VOTEC, where it actually, instead of taking me based off project, instead of grading based on specific project itself by the teacher, we were forced to enter different contests, like Union County's Teen Arts Festival, the Rutgers Festival, and all that good stuff.
So bless you, you took all of that and then used that outside the box thinking into your real estate career?
Exactly. I eventually went into I did an internship with BBDO. And that's kind of when I realized that I didn't really want to be a graphic designer. I realized that all the amount of work that you had to put in towards being a graphic designer and the amount of income that you would get back in return would be very limited.
Was there a ceiling to it?
There was a very, 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 very low ceiling, and that was one of my biggest motivations to kind of just drift out of that field itself. And I always believed that I could take those skills that I've developed over the years itself and apply it to a different market. And real estate just so happened to fall into my lap.
Was it a mentor, or was it someone or something that occurred that made you realize that this is there's no ceiling to this?
It's my competitive nature. Also watching a lot of HGTV growing up, watching a little bit of Bravo.
The millionaire listings.
Exactly. And
who'd you like best? Frederick, Louise, or who?
I like Louise the Swag. Louise is my guy. He was all about his. It wasn't more about. He was a little bit more grounded than both Ryan and than Frederick. And I really, really paid close attention to the way that he went out of his way to cater to his clients in ways that, even Ryan and Frederick at that particular point was not.
Is that what you model now in your business?
It's a portion of that. A biggest part of my business has been I didn't want to join a group immediately or join a team specifically because I always saw that the most success in this business is by creating one gigantic melting pot, essentially. Like the U.S.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do was I got to pick the minds of some of the best realtors, not just within my specific office, not just within Keller Williams, and not just within Union County, Essex, and Morris, where the areas I cover specifically. But I managed to get in contact with people from the shore areas, the New York City areas. I got connected with Ashley Gravano with Paradigm Title very early.
She's great.
And she's absolutely amazing. She connected me with some of the most amazing people in this industry, and I constantly was able to take advantage of that and reach out to these people.
What made you seek mentorship or learning from others and being so open to that? A lot of people are closed to that.
I mean, it was all about discovering my weaknesses at that particular point and really finding a mentorship that would cater to my weaknesses. I feel like a lot of the standards are very, very straightforward, and when you go into a certain class, you learn one specific thing. But the thing is, a lot of times it doesn't always cater to your specific strengths. I always felt like I needed to find someone that could really take what I can do as a designer, as a marketing specialist, and really help me elevate that and make me as successful as I can be.
Would you say you look at your real estate business in a more marketable way for your clients? Like you're focused on that design, because interior design seems to be a big part of selling homes. Would you agree? What's your perspective on that?
Oh, I totally agree. Interior designs and visuals is actually the biggest part of the game when it comes to marketing in general. Whether you're talking about advertising a simple flyer for Pepsi or advertising a property itself, the first 10 seconds that someone views your advertisement is the moment that's going to either capture them or it's the minute that they're going to walk away from it completely. And I've always found it to be a very, very strong, really important thing to acknowledge specifically because of that.
When you were, let's say, in school, you're in high school, what classes interested you most? Did they have anything to do with real estate at all, or was it completely?
It actually wasn't. I did enjoy history classes just because I just like understanding, just how things worked in the past, actually, which is a big reason why 40 Laws of Power and Robert Greene
we got to talk about this. Hold
exactly.
on. Oh,
exactly.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Which is exactly why I'm so into those specific books. 33 Strategies of War is actually one of my favorite books of all time, specifically because it goes into the mindset of like the old days where it wasn't necessarily driven by laws, but more driven by based on actions, and just driven by different factors of principles and everything of that nature itself. So like that really kind of shaped.
So you talk about Robert Greene. Have you read his new book, The Laws of Human Nature?
I'm still going through it right now. I just purchased it myself. Yes.
So personal development, that's a big general word or statement. How do you view personal development?
Trying to find any way to improve on a daily basis. There's always a learning opportunity. And I've always told people that I've grown up with that the minute that you're willing to give up learning is the minute that you stop living life.
Have you always been a reader?
Not necessarily. It wasn't always necessarily just been about reading specifically, but it's just about every opportunity that you step your foot into. As long as you could take something from it, then there's some kind of success behind it.
That's powerful. Now, how much has that impacted your business? Period, like positive, negative. What personal development that is?
It's helped me out substantially because it helped me keep my mindset straight. Because like in the beginning of the phases of it, I had to learn through a lot of bad phases and everything. A lot of things that happened in my life that made things a lot more difficult. As you were discussing your tragedies and everything, while mine weren't as drastic, I've had a lot of life-changing situations in my lifetime that really made me, have to really look at life in a different in a different view itself.
What's the biggest lesson that you think you learned over the last couple of years that you could teach yourself in the past?
I did lack a lot of patience before. And I know I went through that in the beginning phases.
It's important
when I first got into this interview, and that was really important to me, just like honing down that patience. And
what does patience mean, right? Like a lot of people talk about it. Gary Vee has saying that you need patience. I've got colleagues like Brad Lee saying that you don't need any patience. Like, what is your take on patience? It seems like everyone has their opinion.
I mean, it's that willpower, not willing to give up. The first 6 months of my first full-time year, I didn't close a deal for the first 6 months because I had deals fall apart for the most crazy reasons possible. And as you know, I'm constantly all over the social media and constantly posting and everything. And it's got to be points at some point where I'm sitting down like, man, what did I sign myself up for? But then you start to really sit down and realize that all that work is, even though it's not the roses aren't blooming right now. It takes time, and the more seeds I throw into the ground, eventually something's going to bloom out of it, and it's a numbers game.
Well, I got to say, testimony to you, following you, and what you just said. 92% of realtors aren't even in business within the first 18 months because they give up after the things that blow up in their face. And having interviewed about 50 top producers in the country this year, what got them through it was what you just said.
Well, you can definitely blame my ex-girlfriend for sure. My ex-girlfriend is definitely a big factor.
We got to make a longer interview. We could go all day.
We dated for 5 years, and my ex was one of my biggest doubters and everything. And she told me that I wouldn't make it, and that's kind of that allowed me to put a really strong target out there and everything, and it kind of kept me focused. Single culture matters. Oh, single culture all day. That's life, man.
Now, I have a question about who you hang out with. Do you believe in that they say the 5 people that you're around, you're the average of the 5 people that you're around?
I mean, to tell you the truth, as much as I socialize when it comes to the work aspect of things, I do like to go out, but I don't really tend to go out as much as I used to. I like to think that the people I built in the relationships in this business specifically, I like to think that like the partners I built are, basically are a family essentially, because at the end of the day, the partners, we're all working for each other, trying to get to the point, trying to reach a certain level that we are all trying to reach together at the same time. Whether they're more successful than me at this particular point or not, we're all working towards the same exact goal.
You have the same mindset.
Exactly.
What's your 2019 mindset? Like people are going to look back from 2020 and they're going to say that was Chris in 2019.
Continue staying grounded, stay humble, continue working hard on a daily basis, and constantly trying to trying to evolve any way that I possibly can. Whether it's through continuous studying, going through classes like something like this amazing session that we're having today,
Shout out to the Real Estate Recovery
oh
Group.
my God, this is such a great event. And
Yeah, how has this event impacted you? Positive? Only positive?
Well, Matt Marinoff has been absolutely incredible for me. Actually, we've actually met. We actually met over social media about a year ago. We never met in person until today.
Wow.
But what happened was I was actually sitting in a staging job because I was assisting Michelina with a project at that particular point. And what happened was I got a phone call saying that the deal wasn't going to fall apart because there was a whole bunch of issues with the title. We knew immediately we had to get it to Matt Marinoff, and I sent it to him. Now we're about to close, I would say either Monday, sometime this week.
So he solved the problem.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
Matt Marinoff's
huge
culture matters.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it was between him and then Eric Waldorf is also here as well today. He was a big factor. He's actually a really big notary, and he actually managed to fly all the way out to Willingboro one day and drive all the way back from Willingboro all the way to Matt Marinoff's house with documents that we needed to have in order for us to close. So like it's just amazing. The people that you meet in this business and everything is so incredible because they're willing to go so far above and beyond just because it's just the right thing to do.
One thing people should know about you.
I have a lot of energy. I'm a very strong believer in just working hard and working for my clients and building a level of consistency. I actually studied the McDonald's theory very hard, very aggressively. One of my first books that I really got into in real estate was Behind the Arches. And what it taught me, obviously the founder of the movie as well, what it taught me about the level of consistency and how important consistency matters. And that changes everything.
This was awesome. Consistently, we will do this again.